Well, happy Monday. Hopefully you had an enjoyable and relaxing weekend. We finally got some much-needed rain here in central Illinois. Hopefully you got some rain in your neck of the woods. Filled up my rain barrels, at least most of them, so hopefully I've got enough water to water my garden for the foreseeable future, because it doesn't look like we are going to get rain again until possibly Friday night. But a mild start to the week. And a lot going on today, and we'll do what we can to give you the best primer so that you can start your week. But tons to get to. Governor Bruce Rauner, former Illinois governor, he's going to be in Springfield at the state capitol later this morning to unveil his gubernatorial portrait, which is going to be interesting. Those are always fascinating to see unveiled. Was at the Pat Quinn unveiling several years ago, and Quinn, he talked about the significance of the imagery in his painting, but you've got all of the paintings of governor, except for Rod Blagojevich. A lot of governor paintings are on the walls at the state capitol in what's known as the Hall of Governors. So Rauner was in town over the weekend celebrating with some supporters in New Berlin, and now he's going to be at the Capitol today to unveil his portrait. So looking forward to seeing that, and of course we'll talk more about it tomorrow, but the former governor is going to be in town today here in Springfield. This while you've got Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's going to be up in Chicago. He's got a commencement speech he's giving this morning, and then he's going to sign a bill that deals with libraries and whether or not local libraries can access state tax dollars. A lot of, federal tax dollars go through the state as well for local libraries, but state tax dollars, they're looking to withhold those from libraries that don't follow the American Library Association and their guidelines for a variety of things, including what kinds of materials are available at these particular libraries. And this is a lot of conversation about so-called book bans, and whether you've got some libraries not wanting certain materials in their libraries and how that might ultimately lead to what some see as banning books. So we'll obviously be picking up on that as well, with the governor holding that signing ceremony later on today. But the governor, he did sign 90 bills on Friday. 90 bills signed into law, and Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's got hundreds more queued up for his signature, which this is what we see every time about this time of year, where you've got the legislature for their spring session passing hundreds of bills, and those hundreds of bills getting onto the governor's desk eventually. Several weeks ago, we reported that he had at least 50 sent to him, and then you had dozens more that were ultimately sent, but here you got Governor J.B. Pritzker now signing legislation at a breakneck speed, which is fascinating to see always, because I wait Fridays for the announcements that the governor signed legislation, and we got that announcement on Friday afternoon. So 90 bills signed into law. And among those, 43 House bills his office announced were signed. One prohibits insurance companies from increasing premiums if someone owns a certain breed of dog. So you got to imagine there's a lot of pit bull owners out there that love their pit bulls, but pit bulls get a bad rap. They can, cause a lot of damage. Young children getting mauled in some stories, but they don't want to discriminate against pit bulls. It's not necessarily just about pit bulls, but regardless, it says that certain dogs, you can't discriminate when it comes to insurance. Another House bill makes Constitution Day a commemorative holiday. Constitution Day is September 17th. And that's a day that recognizes the enactment of the U.S. Constitution. So now that's going to be a commemorative holiday in the state of Illinois. Another measure that passed and was signed by the governor on Friday: music venues over certain sizes, they have to have opioid antagonists. And that's, a drug that allows for the quick revival of somebody who may overdose on an opioid. So that's another of the 90 bills that was signed into law on Friday. House Bill 1596 replaces certain pronouns with the nouns to which the pronouns refer, and some other legalese within the statute and the codes of Illinois, where you've had several bills passed that changed language from one thing to another. Say, for instance, replacing boy or girl with children, and replacing mother with person who gives birth. So you see that they're kind of modifying some of the language throughout state statute. And then you get a host of other bills, and we'll just go through these. House Bill 2389 prevents stops and searches. If you've got something hanging from your rear view mirror, it's still going to be illegal to have something hanging from your rear view mirror, but it can no longer be the predicate, the initializing offense that leads to somebody getting pulled over. House Bill 2907 prevents striking workers from being sued for unintentional property damage as a result of a strike. This one's interesting because there was just recently in another state a court that essentially said, if the workers are on strike and they damage equipment, then you've got them going to be held liable. So it'll be interesting to see how well this law stands up to what we're seeing possible out of court cases across the country. House Bill 3396 provides that any person with the intent of obstructing, impeding, or otherwise interfering with a picket line commits a Class A misdemeanor and a minimum fine of $500. Of the 47 Senate bills, again, the governor signing 90 bills on Friday, 47 Senate bills. Senate Bill 40 establishes requirements for electric vehicle-capable parking spaces. We've talked about this in the past, where a lot of the new construction apparently is going to have these kind of ports for electric vehicle charging, but you've also got some requirements for parking spaces as well. Senate Bill 201 provides that the court may seal any foreclosure action filed during the COVID-19 emergency and recovery period. So people who had to go into foreclosure because they couldn't afford their home during COVID, maybe they lost their job when the governor shut the economy down, those are going to be sealed. Senate Bill 1351 allows a retiring teacher to forgo evaluation. Senate Bill 1527 requires insurance coverage for medically necessary compression sleeves. And these are obviously things that you may need for if you've had lymph nodes removed and you need some kind of compression sleeve for comfort and for mobility, and that could happen from a cancer diagnosis, but also compression sleeves, I believe, are good for those who suffer from diabetes and so on. So that's just a sampling. But again, you can go through and see the 90 different bills that the governor signed on Friday and the various enactments. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to see this story and look at all the different bills and the descriptions yourself. But these are just a few of the 566 bills that the governor's going to be busy signing. And again, he'll be up in Chicago today to sign a bill about tax dollars in libraries and maybe restricting those tax dollars from going to certain libraries depending on their policies. So we'll watch that, of course, but you've also got a former governor coming back to town at the state capitol to unveil his portrait, former Governor Bruce Rauner. Welcome back to town. We'll obviously be talking about that as well tomorrow. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on WMA.